Over the past several years, I've tried nearly every investment broker in Canada, as well as trained maybe something like 70% of the way to becoming a financial advisor before moving on to greener pastures.
Hate suits.
And after putting thousands of my hard-earned dollars to the test, trading everything from stocks to ETFs to options, I can confidently say which broker I think is the best. More than that, I think I've also found the holy grail for Canadian investors. The best place to invest in USD denominated investments for the lowest cost. Very hard to find places that do not rip you off. But my opinion, or really my situation, may be different from yours. You may have different preferences than I do. For instance, if you're in the GTA, you might say, yo, reach fam. Or if you're from the north, you might say, I've heard better chirps from a dead bird, you dusty bender. And finally, if you're from anywhere else other than Ontario, you're just politely reminding everyone that Canada does in fact extend beyond the borders of Ontario. So my goal today is to help you find the right broker, whether you're a new investor or if you're a more sophisticated investor looking to optimize the brokerage that you're using. To accomplish this, you'll notice that I've divided the video into chapters so you can easily hop to the specific section that applies most to you. So give it a look down below in the little play bar or in the description to find the right section for you. But if you're not sure or you feel like multiple sections apply to you, then it might make sense to just watch the entire video. Okay, so I figured I'd start with the broker that solves a major problem for many Canadians, and that's being able to very cost effectively invest in US dollar denominated securities. Many brokers rip you off to do this, which is just such a shame because the US is kind of the epicenter of the world's financial markets. Like, we want to get in there. So my favorite broker that I use to make my US dollar investments is Interactive Brokers. Oh, and by the way, before I forget, every broker that I mentioned is linked down below for your convenience. So Interactive Brokers is a less commonly known brokerage. They don't advertise quite as much as the likes of something like Wealthsimple or Questrade. So you may not have heard of them before, but they have an absolute pristine reputation, particularly among sophisticated investors. Worldwide, I might add. And a big part of that is because they save you a ton of money. A lot more than Questrade, a lot more than Wealthsimple, if we're talking US dollar investments. All the while being a very robust and secure brokerage. This is very important because as investors, there's only a few things under our control. We can control what we buy, what we pay for it, how long we hold this particular thing, and what fees we pay. I'm all about reducing fees to the absolute minimum level that I possibly can while still maintaining a very high quality service. And that's exactly what I have found Interactive Brokers to do. The reason they can save you a ton of money is because, first of all, their commissions are very low. It's going to cost you only $1 to place a USD trade, and that's about the only fee you're going to be paying. Questrade, on the other hand, would charge you $4.95 here. And Wealthsimple would technically be commission free, but there is a really big catch here, even with their Plus account that I'm going to talk about in a moment. On top of that, I think this is the most exciting thing about Interactive Brokers right here. You can convert Canadian dollars to US dollars for an insanely cheap rate. Like, this is the best rate by far that I'm aware of, and this is really what saves you a ton of money. So you can exchange your Canadian dollars for US dollars for approximately the spot rate, meaning the market rate, plus 0.02% or a $2 minimum. So basically, any conversion under $100,000 will cost you only $2. That's crazy good. Like, I cannot emphasize that enough. Canadians constantly bleed money when investing in the US markets or when exchanging their Canadian dollars for US dollars. I was bleeding money for years before I discovered Interactive Brokers, and you may be bleeding money right now. So Questrade and Wealthsimple here will charge you about 1.5% in conversion fees in both directions, converting into US dollars and converting out, which means a $10,000 conversion would cost you $300 with either either Questrade or Wealthsimple versus a $4 round trip with Interactive Brokers. Now you can do the math and increase that amount of money. You can make that $10,000 bigger, and I'm sure you'll come to the same conclusion as me, as that is huge savings. And yes, this still is huge savings, even with something like the Wealthsimple Trade Plus account. And that's because with that particular account, while you do get commission-free USD trades, you still have to pay that 1.5% conversion fee to convert into US dollars, and then you have to pay it again to convert back out. And yes, for the particularly savvy among you, I do think this is better than doing Norbert's Gambit at something like Questrade or even National Bank direct brokerage because, well, you just don't have to do it in the first place. So I personally have had my US dollar investment account with Interactive Brokers for over a year now, and I mean, I just can't recommend it enough. It has been nothing short of amazing so far. They offer many of the accounts that you're probably looking for, like TFSAs, RRSPs, all of that good stuff. They have a great app with like a crazy amount of functionality. You can basically take it as far as you want to, as simple as you want to be or as complex as you want to be. And their security is very, very high level. Now look, you also don't have to just take my word for this. They receive high praise pretty much anywhere on the internet. You can go and search for yourself. So if that sounds what you've been looking for making US dollar trades, once again, you can find them linked down below in the description, and I hope they can change your life as much as they've changed mine. Moving on to the basic investor. So this is somebody who I imagine is looking to build a relatively simple portfolio of some Canadian listed stocks and ETFs. So if you're a beginner investor who's maybe learned about the benefits of passively investing in index funds, or if you know absolutely nothing and you're just looking for a place to start, this is probably the brokerage that I would recommend. Wealthsimple Trade. And the reason is because I think Wealthsimple Trade is the most straightforward and beginner-friendly investment service out there. And I personally use it for my Canadian ETF portfolios in both my TFSA and RRSP. Now, the reason why it's particularly friendly to beginners is because there's zero commissions, which essentially means that you're going to be able to use this app at no cost to you. Assuming you're only looking to buy Canadian listed stocks and ETFs, so things that are denominated in Canadian dollars. This is especially helpful when you're just starting out with a small amount of money. If you're starting out with something like, say, $1,000 and a particular brokerage charges you $10 per trade, well, if you make 10 trades, you've already lost 10% of your money. In addition to being great for beginners that way, Wealthsimple Trade also has one of the most straightforward app designs for beginners to use. It's probably the least intimidating interface to look at, so if you get a little bit, scared looking at like financial data and charts and all that stuff, I think you're gonna find this one like particularly friendly for you. On top of that, just the sign up process it's by far the best in my opinion. It's like super easy, not at all a headache. I think they definitely are the furthest ahead in terms of using technology to make everything just easy to use and convenient. Now, it's worth mentioning here that Questrade is definitely another viable option to be aware of. But in my opinion, I think Wealthsimple has them beat on some of the metrics that are most important to me anyway. First of all, while Questrade does allow you to buy ETFs commission-free, they charge you a commission to sell that ETF, and they also charge commissions to buy and sell stocks. And Wealthsimple Trade just doesn't charge any commissions at all in the Canadian category. On top of that, kind of what I was saying earlier, I personally find Wealthsimple to be a much more convenient and easy to use platform as opposed to Questrade. Questrade still has you doing things like signing forms in a little bit of like a old-fashioned way, which can be, a bit of a headache. And that's coming from somebody who uses both. I mean, like I said, Questrade is still a very good option to consider. I have a Questrade account for my Lira account, and that's because Questrade does allow you to have access to more different types of accounts than Wealthsimple, more kind of specialized accounts. But if Wealthsimple did have a Lira account, well, I would probably move it over to them. Now, a third option to consider here could be National Bank direct brokerage. Surprisingly, they've actually started to offer a commission-free trading service. And while I haven't used it myself, people do seem to like it. But the main drawback for this particular brokerage is that there's currently no phone app. So you'd have to log on to your computer and use that to do all of your investing. And it's ultimately up to you and your preferences to determine if that's a major deal breaker or not. So personally, I think out of those three options, Wealthsimple does have the upper hand here. I mean, I do most of my investing on my phone. I'm not doing anything too crazy. It's just super convenient to be able to use your phone. I mean, I'm just looking to buy a few shares of ETFs every now and then. And so if that sounds like the right fit for you as well, I believe I do have some type of bonus for you if you do use the link in the description down below. I think it's something like $25 if you deposit at least $100. Haven't checked in a while, so you'll have to check that for me, but just so you're aware, you can get a little bonus if you do determine that is the right fit for you. Moving on to our third section, where we have what I'm going to be calling the intermediate investor. I think of this as somebody who has experience investing, but they're looking to optimize their brokerage. And I imagine that this person places trades in Canadian dollars, US dollars, and may even be looking to trade options as well. So here we're actually going to combine everything that we've talked about so far. I think if you want to just stick to one service as an intermediate or advanced investor, Interactive Brokers would be my number one pick. $1 per trade, excellent rates for CAD to USD conversion, and really great option commission structures as well, make it the best all-rounder in my opinion. If you've skipped ahead to this part of the video because you're like, oh, I'm an intermediate investor, let's go here. And you're like, who the heck is Interactive Brokers? I've never heard of them. I'd probably recommend going back to the first section of the video because I explain them in a lot more detail there if you do want to learn more about that. But I also have a link down below for your convenience that you can, click on and check them out that way too. So I mean, ultimately, yeah, I think you could just set yourself up with Interactive Brokers and be very, very happy. But if you want to maximize your optimization, you could do what I do, which is use a couple different brokerages for their own unique specific strengths. I think for Canadian dollar denominated investing, Wealthsimple Trade takes the cake for me with its zero commission structure, as well as its super clean, easy to use interface that just makes it super simple for me to open up the app, buy a couple shares of my ETFs, and then go about my life. In my opinion, it beats out both Questrade and National Bank direct brokerage for reasons that I specify in section 2 of this video if you want to go back and hear my thoughts about that. For US dollar investing, Interactive Brokers just wins hands down. It has the best currency conversion rates by far and very low trading commissions. And yes, this does beat doing Norbert's Gambit with something like Questrade or National Bank in my opinion. Finally, I do also have an account at Questrade for my Lira. And this is a bit of a niche case, but that's where I think something like Questrade or National Bank direct brokerage has an advantage here because they do offer a very, very wide array of different account types that you can use with them. But for most people who are just going to be using a TFSA, RSP, or simple cash account, a fully optimized setup could be completed with just Interactive Brokers and Wealthsimple Trade. I know for us Canadians, it can be, we can get a bit jealous looking at our southern neighbors who just seem to have everything so simple. They have all these great options for investing apps that are just super simple, straightforward, zero commissions. It's easy to get jealous. But I hope now, after watching this video, you found a service or two that fits your particular needs while bringing the costs down as low as possible. And if you did find this video helpful, consider doing, all that YouTube stuff, like button, subscribe, comment, blah, blah, blah. But really, I would just say that if it is your first time here, my mission on this channel is to try and make the world of personal finance much more accessible to everyone, while also documenting my journey to financial independence along the way. So if that, sounds cool to you, if you like this video, if you like me, no hard feelings if you don't, you'll probably like more videos. So, check them out if you want. And with all that said, thank you so much for watching and hopefully see you again soon.